Welcome to Hornbill TV's Primetime with Ngullie. Ladies and gentlemen, our episode here will be mostly about what is going to happen in the next few weeks as Nagaland waits for her new government. Before that, we'll be reminding you once again here that this is not your normal news bulletin. Rather, it is a take on the news events of the day. The emphasis here about this show is not so much about the headlines, rather the emphasis here is on the analytical side with explanations, insights and the general lay of the significant events of the day. Now to the program. A much wanted election related practice seems to have found a place in Nagaland. Witch hunting against rival or opposing political workers and leaders long after the declaration of results. This is the new practice that we are seeing now. Generally, post-poll violence in Nagaland is recent and has not been experienced in the state in its current magnitude in the past. I am not saying that this has not happened before, but the level and the degree of violence that we have been seeing since the polls concluded has not been experienced before. So earlier reports of reprisals after the polls were received here from Zinepoto, Woka, Mokokchung, Noklak and Pek. In Noklak, on February 28, a person died reportedly after being shot by police personnel after protests demanding a repolling turned violent. It is also because of the changing times, I assume. Values of the old vanguard are slowly giving way to younger and a very different demographic that has an entirely different set of values. This is what I'm trying to say. Even in the 90s, the idea of fight and shake hands was a core community principle that translated into the forgiving character of the community even after the elections. Those were the old days, but it is different now. Yes, things are a little bit different now. Youths in those days also engaged in violence, yes, it is true, but it was rarely widespread like we are seeing now. If the new government will address the post-election violence, there is no doubt that the new dispensation will inject a sense of assurance among the people. It will demonstrate the government's presence as guardians and protectors of the people. The government should meet the violence and the threat to life and property with the full force of the law. This will instill in the people a high level of confidence in the new government. After all, even supporters of rival parties are also still citizens of the state and they enjoy full rights as citizens. Today's NDBB or PJB or NCP or LJB voter will be another party's voter tomorrow. So there is no change. They are still citizens. I hope our government does something about this. Before we go into the headlines, I got breaking news from our editor just now. The breaking news is this. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be attending the swearing in ceremony of the new governments of Meghalaya and Nagaland and yes, Tripura. The Prime Minister will be in Meghalaya and Nagaland on March 7th. And on March 8th, he will be in Tripura. So those are the breaking news that we are receiving. So let's go over and check out the headlines for today. Nagaland Chief Minister and NDPP leader Nefirio has submitted his resignation to Governor La Ganisan on Saturday, ending his fourth tenure. The national president of the National People's Party, Conrad Sangma, on Friday night met the governor to submit the letter of support from 32 MLAs, including 2 from the BJP, 26 NPP, 2 HSPDB, and 2 independents, stating that more MLAs are set to join the Meghalaya coalition. The second installment of headache for the Nagaland Legislative Assembly has begun, ladies and gentlemen. The process to form the 14th Nagaland Legislative Assembly has officially begun with the Chief Minister of the state, Nefirio, submitting his resignation. He handed in his paper to Nagaland Governor La Ganisan on March 4th, Saturday. The Nationalist Democratic Progressive Party leader concludes his third tenure as Chief Minister and is now looking forward to his fourth tenure. The NDPP and BJP had formed a pre-poll alliance to share seats in the ratio of 40-20, that is 40 for NDPP and 20 for the BJP. The Rio-led NDPP secured 25 seats while the BJP could secure 12 seats out of 60. For our younger viewers here, here's a little bit about Nefirio. You might need it in your GK classes. Nefirio was born in 1950 and is the 9th Chief Minister of Nagaland. He has served in various positions from 1989 when he was elected from Northern Angami to as a Congress representative. He is the only Nagaland Chief Minister to have served 3 consecutive terms, won 5 consecutive terms, and is the longest serving Chief Minister of the state. He was also a member of the Parliament from Nagaland to the Lok Sabha from 2014 to 2018. The Nationalist Democratic Progressive Party has elected Nefirio as its leader. The NDPP's legislative party of the 14th Nagaland Legislative Assembly has unanimously elected Nefirio as its leader during the party's first meeting that was conducted in the party's central office in Kohima. The members entrusted Rio to take the prerogative of forming the new government. The party also resolved to work with a vision for peace and development and to take Nagaland towards a state of excellence. That was the report we received. According to the sources, the new government is likely to be sworn in on March 7th. The NDPP has 25 MLAs while the BJP has 12, taking the alliance's number to 37. Now, there are speculations what the rest of the smaller parties' candidates would do, whether they would join the government or sit in the opposition. Unlike most political demographics of the subcontinent, Nagaland has traditionally been a political community that votes by relationship, not ideology. I think all of us know about this. Small party MLAs have often been absorbed into ruling dispensations for one reason or the other. We have seen that in the recent past too, especially in regard to the JDU and the 4 Congress candidates who joined the NDPP government earlier in 2018. Yeah, this has happened in the past for us. This is the time where speculations are rife whether the small new parties that emerge with a surprisingly high number of MLAs would join the government. This speculation may be attributed to the infamous so-called opposition-less government, so we'll have to wait a while and see what that means later on. We'll try the next news now. Now, as we were talking about whether the small party MLAs would be able to join the coalition or whether they would be put to the opposition, we don't know. But there are a lot of speculations about the smaller parties in Nagaland that secured big wins in the recent assembly elections. If they start getting frisky, things could become a little tumultuous here. Now, let's look at the numbers on the other side of the bench. There are 7 MLAs from the Nationalist Congress Party to form the largest party in the opposition if they stay in the opposition. There are 5 National People's Party MLAs, 2 Republican Party of India MLAs, 2 from the Naga People's Front, yes, and 2 from the Lok Jan Shakti Party Ram Vilas faction, and there is 1 JDU MLA, and of course there are 4 fresh-faced independent representatives. They are making up a total of 23 MLAs in all. So a lot can change even if one of these parties decide to join the alliance. Now look at the NCP, for instance. It has generally not been averse to alliances with the BJP in Maharashtra. This is one of the reasons why speculations in Nagaland right now are rife, because the NCP has the largest number of MLAs among the small party MLAs that emerged with big wins during the elections. Now the speculations are that maybe there is a chance that the NCP might join the NDPP and BJP, because they have not really been averse to alliances with the BJP in states like Maharashtra. In fact, this was revealed just days ago. NCP chief Sharad Pawar actually wanted to join the BJP, but later changed his stance in regard to the Eknath Shinde government. Now this gives us insights into the mind of the NCP in what they might do in Nagaland too. Now if you look at the Meghalaya assembly, the NPP-led coalition had the BJP recently. Now the BJP extended its support to the alliance. The NPP Nagaland supporting the alliance is not unlikely if things start going south. There is a likelihood that the NPP might also start looking toward the NDPP and the BJP, because even in Meghalaya, they are not exactly enemies right now. Then there is the Republican Party of India Athawale faction. Just several days before the Nagaland elections, the RPI president had actually not been very secretive about his ambitions. He had declared that his party RPI will be supporting the BJP NDPP alliance if the alliance comes to power in Nagaland. Then now let's look at the NPF and where it stands. The NPF has 2 MLAs this time. The party was actually part of the 13th so-called opposition-less Nagaland Legislative Assembly. They are not exactly enemies here. Now, the Lok Jan Shakti Party is another party. The LJP is part of the National Democratic Alliance, of which the NDPP is also a member there. So like I said, you have actually you have friends there right now, and when you have a coalition situation in Nagaland, these small parties could actually be a big influence in what kind of character the new government will have when it forms. Now there is also the Janata Dal United, which was in alliance with the BJP in Bihar until the previous year, when Nitish Kumar decided that he would break away from the alliance. As for the 4 independents, they can go anywhere they wish, and of course if they do, they can always go with the ruling dispensations, because that's what traditionally independent MLAs have been doing. Now my point is, while there are no permanent friends or enemies in politics, the NDPP and the BJP are not exactly surrounded by toxic enemies either. In fact, they are more of all friends if you look in that way, because most of these parties have been in alliance in one way or the other in different states. So you don't have the toxicity that, let's say, the PJP and the Congress used to have about 15 years ago, meaning the alliance might hold it in favor of the NDPP and the BJP partnership. But what the question is, but what if one day a majority of the MLAs from all these small parties suddenly decide that they want a piece of the action? What do you do that if that kind of a situation comes up? If they decide to join the BJP side of the fence, what do you do? Now that will be a big problem, not just for the alliance itself, but for the NDPP. That will be a big problem. Let's go check out the other news. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. The Nagaland Electricity Department has said that it will start conducting raids on defaulting consumers in Dimapur. The raids will be conducted for failing to pay their electricity bills, having arrears for more than 2 months, and for the theft of power through hooking, and for tampering of energy meters. The power authorities have issued a notice to inform electricity consumers of Dimapur of all categories, such as government consumers, bulk and industrial and commercial consumers, and domestic consumers, that the raids will be conducted in the Dimapur Electrical Division. Updates received here on Saturday said that the raids will be conducted at various locations in Dimapur, with immediate effect and without further notice, the Dimapur department said the authorities have asked all electricity consumers to clear their outstanding bills and to desist from illegal activities to avoid inconvenience. The department also informed that as per the Indian Electricity Act 2003 Part 14 Section 135, any person who uses power illegally shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years or with fine or with both penalties. In Nagaland, hooks play an important role not only in fishing but in stealing electricity too. There are a lot of bad apples, yes. However, it will be wonderful if the authorities also look into the complaints that there might be issues with power metering. I remember years ago, a neighbor in Landmark Colony area of Dimapur received a bill amounting to about, I think it was 50,000 when he wasn't even home. So I think he took the fight to the court, and that's how they resolved the issue. He has not been home for a long time, but when he came back, the power bills ran up to about 50, I think it was 50,000 or one, like somewhere in that region. So complaints on social media about high electricity bills are not a new thing for Nagaland. So it will be good if the government will check this too also. But of course, that does not take away anything from the authorities whose good intention is to go and raid people who are using power illegally or obtaining electricity through illegal means. Illegal power use in Nagaland often cuts a huge chunk of the state's revenue, ladies and gentlemen. For instance, during 2021, the media had reported that Nagaland lost about 4 rupees per unit of electricity then. According to the power department's data, during the financial year 2021, Nagaland collected just 172.51 crore in revenue against a total purchase of 438.62 crore. That's a loss of approximately 266 crore, ladies and gentlemen. Elsewhere in Meghalaya, the national president of the National People's Party, Conrad Sangma, on Friday night met the governor to submit a letter of support from 32 MLAs, including 2 from the PJB, all allies, yes, 26 from the NPP, and 2 from the HSPDB, and 2 independents, of course. He stated that more MLAs are set to join the coalition. That's the reports that we have been having so far. The likely date for the swearing in of the new government for Meghalaya is March 7. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is likely to be part of the program. So, as we have given you the information early, it's breaking news. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi will be in Nagaland, in Meghalaya, in Tripura. For Nagaland and Meghalaya, he will be here on March 7th, but on March 8th, he will be going straight to Tripura for the swearing in ceremony too. So Conrad Sangma will be sworn in as the 13th Chief Minister of the state of Meghalaya. Elsewhere, angry that HSPDP MLAs had extended support to the NPP government led by Conrad Sangma, there was a reported case of arson at the office of Meda Infrastructure Private Limited in Laitum Kra on Friday evening. MLA Methodist Kar is said to be the director of the firm. Fire and police personnel immediately arrived at the spot, of course, and doused the fire. That's what we were informed. It was also informed that search has been initiated for the alleged arsonists. In another incident, the residence of Alvin Somi, an NPP candidate who lost the election, was attacked by a masked man in Cliff Colony at about 8:30 p.m. in Meghalaya. Incidentally, Alvin Somi is related to HSPDB MLA Wardri. So those were the top picks from Saturday's news events, ladies and gentlemen. I know some of you guys have been complaining a lot about how I'm actually messing up the pronunciations of the names of some of our government leaders, or maybe all of them. So, you know, come on, I'm just trying my best and always working on improving myself. So I'll give you my best. Keep on encouraging me, because I think you are part of my growth. So you are the best. Keep watching Hornbill TV. I'm Ngullie. See you next time.